Wow. I'm finally back. I made it back to Drag Den. I was so mad that Mr. Luzon was here last week that I kicked Lana out. I'm kidding. Even though David's the one that organized it.
Look, we've all taken a episode off now.
I know. The next episode, we all have to be back together. Yep. It'll be good. Oh, I love when we unintentionally all end up doing that, like, in a row. It's very fun to me. Plus, it's been a moment since just the two of us have podcasted together, which is nice. But, Mabu, hey! And welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality. And you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. Gay. Today, I have water, of course, because hydration is very important. And I'm drinking my energy drink of the moment, which is cherry limeade. It's a classic. I love cherry and I love lime. So it's always going to be, in the mix, doing something. But if I wasn't drinking it out of my fabulous tumbler, of course I would be drinking it out of my cup mug. And you could get your very own and all of our merch available at Lana G Creations.
Panel full of cup mugs.
Panel full of cup mugs. Lana's not here to do the lights. I think I could do it with my ring light, but I don't want to mess up my settings.
Yeah.
Oh, seizure warning. Sorry if something happened to you. Yeah, because I know I can do it on my ring light. I just don't want to mess up my settings because I have it very perfect. But you could get yours at lanagcreations.etsy.com. Link in the description below. And we do ship internationally and domestically, so there are no excuses. And Philippines, we're looking for you. We're looking at you today.
And we're looking for you. Where are you?
We're looking for you. We're looking at you. We're looking with you. We're looking beyond you to Drag Race Philippines Season 3, which is allegedly filming with to Drag Race Philippines Season 3, which is allegedly filming right now.
Ooh.
So get your cut merch. Purr, as Lana would say. But she has a migraine and she has to go talk about wrestling, apparently.
I would have a migraine too if I was talking about wrestling.
Me too.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to wear my Taste shirt. It says Lip Sync Assassin.
Oh, period.
And most of what's going on is in the back.
Well, did you see that funny enough, she was announced today to be a part of Binge Queens for UK versus the World.
Nice.
Yeah.
I might watch that.
Her and somebody fabulous. I don't remember which fabulous person. But yes, what are you drinking?
I am drinking some water, and I do have to say, screw you, Jerome. Screw you. We hate you, Jerome. You bully.
Oh my God.
And
that moment.
Thank you.
And I thank you. I always forget to do that.
Literally every time I've done this podcast for Drag Den, it always ends with you or Lana or both saying, "Oh, I always forget to do that," because I'm the only one who remembers.
It's so cute, and I love doing it. I just never remember to do it because it's different from what we normally do. Sure. It's Taste with Angeria.
Okay, nice.
And then it's Lala Ree and Jessica Wilde. I'm like, that's a lovely. I wish it was more international queens. I'll be honest with you, but where's Spanky Jackson? Where I do love that it's all queens of color, though. I will say that much. But like, where's Envy Peru? Where's, I don't know, Ugasio? Where's, I don't know, Silhouette? Waldo. Speaking of the Philippines, I don't know. We're not talking about Drag Race today, though. We're talking about Drag Den. And it's episode 4 of Drag Den. I'm excited to be back talking about Drag Den. Unfortunately, I have to be honest right out of the gate. This is so far the least entertaining episode of the season for me. Just overall, like, it felt, I don't know if you would agree with this, David. The energy just felt a little bit different in the whole episode. Like, the Queen's energy felt different. I would even say Sassy Girl's energy felt a little bit different. I was just like, oh, this feels like the culmination of like a lot of things that have been happening backstage that we're not seeing.
Okay. I see what
So a lot of people are on edge. That's what I felt.
For me, I wouldn't say it was the least entertaining episode because like I was entertained by a lot of the drama, but
Sure.
it felt a bit rushed. Like the actual challenges part felt a bit rushed because you could tell that they were saving a lot of time for the big argument backstage. But I will say, as far as looks goes, this is my least favorite week as far as looks goes. I was a little disappointed.
I was gonna say I think our scores might actually be a little bit more on par than they than they normally are. Like
Maybe.
I think yeah, I agree with that. But we're gonna dive into all of that. Before we do though, make sure to subscribe if you have not already. Hit the like button, do all those things because we really appreciate it. It actually helps us out because we are a channel on the rise, as I like to say now. I just came up with that and I kind of like it, so I'm gonna stick with it. We're a channel on the rise. And we're here all the time giving you almost all things drag. We've got 5 different drag franchises happening right now and another one starting up very, very soon over on our members only channels. So if you would like to become a member of the Cup channel and join the tea room, the join button is going to be down there right next to the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And we're also on Patreon, same content, different platform. So if you would like to become a member, we greatly appreciate it. The super thanks is over there as well. And all that money goes right back into helping us make a better podcast for you. So we greatly appreciate it. And we've got 2 other channels with almost all things reality TV and almost all things Eurovision Song Contest. So make sure to go check those out as well. But we are coming off of what I was thankful to see, the elimination of Elvira.
Elvira.
I was so happy.
That's
I was not
Lana.
here to share my opinions, but I was very thrilled.
Oh, I love Elvira.
She didn't do it for me, baby.
She didn't have the best run, but I think she's a sweetheart. She was one of my favorite personalities. So,
except for when she was fighting.
Did she fight a lot?
She fought with Jean every episode.
Well, everybody's fought with Jean.
Okay, but still, no, not everybody. When has Moy fought with Jean?
Okay, well, Moy hasn't done anything except be quiet.
Okay, well, my point still stands.
And good job in not calling her moi.
Thank you. I'm getting better with it. She's the only person left on my team, so I need to call her by the right name.
Right.
Speaking of, make sure to go check out our episode last week because we did have Manila's husband, Mr. Luzon, here to talk all things drag den, which was very exciting. I'm so sad I wasn't here for it. Mm-hmm. We're hoping to get him back for a future episode. But yeah, make sure to go check that out right here.
And I realized afterwards that we actually recorded that episode on the 5-year anniversary of his debut on Drag Race when he was on All Stars.
How gorgeous. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, It was kind of a crazy thing that we didn't even get to talk about.
I kind of love that, honestly. But yeah, we love him. Make sure to go check out that episode. It's very fun. Even though I'm not there, it's still very fun. But we're coming off of Elvira's elimination. And I also want to say, since I didn't take my moment, because I don't really need a whole moment to talk about last week's episode, thank goodness Russia Fox finally got a win. Mm-hmm. She is, deserve. I truly am becoming a Russia Fox stan. Oh, yeah. And we'll talk about it more this episode, but they all come in. They come in this funeral procession for Elvira, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. They're sitting around. Sassa Girl comes in. I do have Sassa Girl's look, so don't worry. I'll show it later. But Sassa comes in, and she gives the rank queens for the week. Obviously, Russia was first. Mm-hmm. Duh. And then I forget who was second, and I forgot to look it up. So I think
it was Mrs. Tan.
I can confirm it was indeed Mrs. Tan.
And you know what that means? She's been in the top 3 every week so far without getting a win.
That might have changed. But yes, Mrs. Tan came in second place last week. Moy came in third. I was very happy. Very, very happy about that. Deja in fourth. Feyvah in fifth. Jean in sixth. And then Margaux in seventh because she was safe with the immunity from the Dragdagulan. Did any of these surprise you?
Yeah, to be honest, we talked about it last week. It's funny because Michael was here, probably knowing the rankings, and I'm like, yeah, I think Jean's in the top 3 this week because I actually was pretty impressed with Jean in the last episode. I thought it was her strongest week for sure.
I agree with you completely. No, sixth. For me, I think I agree with the top 4 for sure. I probably would have swapped Feyvah and Jean. And I would have had Jean 5th and Feyvah 6th. Unfortunately, I wasn't all that impressed with what Feyvah brought last week for the horoscopes.
That's fair.
I just don't think it translated as well as it could have.
I did like it, but so we saw like in that image where they first show her, she had the wings on, but everything else she wasn't wearing the wings, and that was my favorite part of the look. So
I agree.
Yeah, but I still thought she looked nice.
I thought the look was fine. I just don't think the performance was up to par.
And she looks nice all the time, even when not in drag. And I see people tagging me in tweets that she's tweeting. I see you.
Are they really?
Yes.
Shut up. That's incredible. With her acne scarred face. Which takes us to the text. This not a mini challenge. We're just playing a game.
Right.
I kind of love that they just call them games. We're playing text, which I believe. Hi, correct me. Comments. Do your thing. I don't know what this is. I think it's like a card game or like a tile game or something like that. But they play a giant version of it. And it's just them reading each other. And the only one of note is that people are just saying Feyvah has an acne-scarred face. Okay,
well, she has a beautiful acne-scarred face. If that is... Like, I don't see acne scars. I don't see them.
So. It's probably because she wears makeup in the confessional.
Maybe.
Like that has to be the case.
But makeup doesn't always hide it.
True. Case in point, Aja 007.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Or is she 007 or is she Miyake? I don't know anymore. Aja. Y'all know who I'm talking about when I say Aja.
Right.
I think she's a Miyake Mugler now. She's switched houses a lot. But none of that really matters except for Mrs. Tan gets given the win. And then it her first win, yay!
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh well, she won the Dragdagulan. I didn't have the button.
Yes, in episode 2.
I'm all over the place today. I don't even have my buttons prepared. What is happening?
Dragdagulan.
But yeah, so she. She gets given the win by Deja, I think it was. Someone is like, well, Mrs. Tan, why don't you just win? She's like, oh my God, I won. And then Sassa's like, so the winner actually gets 2 extra minutes to prepare for Themewear. And everyone's like, what? And Mrs. Tan is like, oh, what? How lovely. And I don't remember exactly what she said. But for me, it felt like the same sort of energy as when Gia Gunn was like, what privilege? Like, it gave me that energy. And I was just like, okay, work.
That's funny.
Oh, 2 extra minutes. This is also the first time I feel like the Sassa Girl has, like, given a countdown to get ready for Themewear. I was like, what is happening today?
Yeah, I'm like, how much of a difference does that make? Because I figured they've already come prepared with garments, and you would think they would give them enough time anyways. So
plus they have to film all of the like boudoir situation. They have to film all of that stuff too while they're getting ready. So like, why does it matter? I don't know why this mattered.
Me neither.
But whatever. Whatever. And then we go to Themewear.
We do.
We're there. But I want to talk about our judges first. This is a horrible photo. Sorry. The photos, not good this episode. The lighting, trying to sabotage me. Dragden, I see you. I see you. I see you trying to sabotage my ability to show off the looks of this episode. Because either everything was overexposed or we're doing the runway in darkness, which I understand, but we'll talk about it later. But we have Manila looking like Manila. This is one of my favorite things she's worn this season.
Yeah, it looks very nice. I don't know about you though. As soon as I saw her, I found it perfect.
Oh, good.
As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, I recognize that wig. Because I see this ad on Facebook. I literally just opened Facebook to see if it was there. And sure enough, there's this ad.
Oh yeah, it's the Mr. ad.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's that hair. Yeah. It's styled slightly different,
just
but that's the same hair.
Oh yeah, that's the same. That's the same base wig for sure. And everyone is new and different this week because Nicole is, for some reason, not able to show up to filming this week. Yep. So we have the only Filipino winner of Miss World, Megan Young, who I have to say, I thought she was absolutely lovely.
She is. And I really love what she's wearing. Like,
oh, she looks great here.
I know.
Both outfits are really good.
They are, but like this one, every time she was on screen, I'm like, wow, look at that. Like it, I just thought it looked so cool. It's definitely one of my favorite things I've seen one of the guest judges wear.
Yes. And then our drag enforcer is Elodia. I really appreciate that they brought a cosplayer in for this challenge. Like all of the enforcers, minus, I have to say, Alaska, but all of the enforcers have felt very intentional with the categories that they're here for. And don't get me wrong, so thrilled Alaska was here. So thrilled to have seen Alaska. But I guess she was married to an absolute horror. So, that works actually now that I think about it. But I love that they brought a cosplayer in to talk about this sort of like, in both parts, kind of doing this anime and this alien sort of challenges that we have going on today.
True. I just felt bad for Marlon because she was somewhere screaming like, this was my challenge.
Oh, I felt very disappointed for Marlon. And then our drag agent on duty is Odasha.
She's here. And I have to say, she's probably been my favorite drag enforcer so far. Is it drag
agent
enforcer?
On duty?
Agent on duty, because she was so funny. Like, she made me laugh multiple times.
Something.
No, I love everybody who's been on. In fact, I think maybe for Odash, did I miss a?
You missed it completely, darling.
Okay.
She literally said that, and it was one of her funniest moments of the episode. And she's like, "Can I say something?" To which everyone replied, "Something."
No.
It was very funny, and you completely missed it. And anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I just she was not one of my favorites in her season, to be honest. But I really liked her here. I thought she was so funny.
I'm like, okay, so we are going through the whole cast of season 1. Where's Barbie? I'm waiting for Barbie. That's who I'm waiting for.
I'm waiting for Maria Christina. She's going to show up and she's going to go backstage. And
she's gonna read every single one of these girls for filth, and I want to see Maria Christina versus Russia Fox.
I want to see her against Jean, but that might not happen anymore.
Thank God. But yes, our Themewear challenge for the week is Queens of Animania, and here is our Sasa girl.
Mm-hmm.
This was a cute look. She is upping. They even said it. She is up in her looks.
For sure. Yeah, she
and I'm
looks
not
great.
mad at this. I'm like, she's actually doing drag this season. Good for you, girl. But as always, we have to have our salsa girl. But first, Feyvah Fatale. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and just say this right now. I don't know anime. I don't know these references. So
I don't either. I don't either. But so we did I guess I missed it until after everybody was done, but there was supposed to be some sort of transition with
I also missed that until they brought it up backstage, and I was like, oh, there was supposed to be a trend. Okay. So there's
but in
supposed
hindsight,
to be it makes sense because everyone does. Yeah.
And I actually thought Feyvah had one of the best transitions. Just the way she was like able to completely transform from that red look, that all red look to the all white look, like instantly. I thought she did really well with that. The looks themselves, like they're pretty simple. But I really appreciated her delivery of it. She was somebody who stood out to me on the microphone. I thought she was funny. So I actually think she was one of my favorites in this specific category.
Okay. I thought she did perfectly fine in this category. I do agree with what Manila was saying specifically about the looks being basic, because they're not the most grandiose looks. And what Feyvah has brought so far has been pretty good as far as, concept, complexity. So I was a little underwhelmed by this from her. But with that being said, I do still think it was a very flawless execution of the transition. I like the red look a little bit more, but it's just giving a scotch more visual interest. And I will say, in that close-up shot in the bottom, you can see the blonde underneath the red wig.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just like one of those things that I don't want to see necessarily. And they were talking about the black panty, which in a look like what she's wearing with, I noticed it as well, and with a look like what she's wearing, I just don't think you can get away with that, unfortunately. But overall, I think the execution was fine. This was not the best, and by far not the worst.
No.
So, your score, David?
I gave her a 79.
I'm gonna give her a 72.
Okay.
Do you need me to keep track of my scores today? Or
no, I got you.
Thank you, David.
So you clearly don't like Feyvah.
No, I really do. Unfortunately, I just don't think... I think she's underperformed 2 weeks in a row. That's just tea. I like Feyvah a lot, but... Next up, Margaux.
So I really like the wig. I think the wig is my favorite part of this look.
All of her wigs have been good though, but I forgot until this episode. I was like, oh yeah, she does wigs. That's like her thing.
Yeah.
Every single one of her wigs, like I when I pulled this, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot she does all of her wigs, and like a bunch of wigs for other people in this competition too.
Yeah. But other than the wig, I thought her shape was very good. Like I really like how she proportionized here. I did not like the first look at all. Like I thought it was one of the weakest looks itself. And then when she did the reveal, it was definitely better, but I still was not blown away by it. And I didn't like seeing all of the nude illusion there too. So this was definitely not one of my favorites. And I really wish she would paint her eyes differently, because it just kind of, she just kind of loses her eyes. Like she always looks like her eyes are closed, even when they're open.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Not my favorite.
I think the makeup in this might be intentional for whatever character she's doing. I will say that. Because a lot of the girls were doing this kind of like more subdued sort of drag eye. So I noticed that not only... I agree with you on that from Margaux, but I noticed it on a couple of the other girls as well. I think Feyvah was another one that kind of did a bit of a smaller eye compared to what we've seen from her prior. But I do agree with you on that. I don't love this from Margaux. I think what I like the most is the presentation of it. because not being an anime fan, I knew exactly what kind of anime girl character she was doing. And so I will give her some props in that regard, because like I got like big tittied anime girl. And that it's a more basic concept, but I got the concept. I agree with you that the nude illusion was very, very bothersome, but it was a good nude illusion match. So I will give her props for that, because it was a very close match.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that just like, it leads me to like, I think this is fine. Like, there's a lot that's really well done here, and there's a lot that I just don't think is really well done. So it's a catch-22, I guess.
Yeah.
But score for Margaux.
It's going to be a 63 for me.
I think I'm going to give her a 65. Next up, Russia Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember what the character, or who the character was, but I remember her saying that the character was someone who, when they have their like powers or whatever, they're a man that then turns into a woman or something like that. And she talked about that being a trans woman and like having that, like representing that as part of what she was giving for the Themewear, which I think is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the idea. The problem here is that Russia has set the bar so high for herself. Like, she's by far had my favorite package so far of looks. Mm-hmm. So this kind of underwhelmed me, to be honest. I thought it was pretty simple and straightforward. Once again, my favorite part, I think, was the wigs. I really like the volume of that second wig. And then her makeup is not my favorite here either. I don't know. This was a little disappointing for me for Russia.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not the biggest fan of this either. I think it's solid, but to what you said exactly, she set the bar very high. And I think what she did here was understated for sure. I still think it's pretty successful. I think for this character, I don't know what else she could have done with this character to make it a bit bigger and more grandiose. And I actually like seeing something a little bit more, relatively speaking, a little bit more simple from her.
Mm-hmm.
I think the wig transformation from having the hat with this like, I think it's like a braided situation into this giant wig, I think that was incredibly impressive for me. The look itself, I mean, it transforms from this like shorter dress into this bodysuit. I don't think that's the most groundbreaking thing in the world. I did love having the flag, the pride flag inside of the cape as the lining of that. I thought that was cute. All of the details, as always, are very meticulously planned out, and that's something we know to expect from Russia Fox. And I liked seeing something a little bit more understated for her, relatively speaking. This is understated for Russia Fox, like, you know what I mean? But I still really like it. I think this was probably one of my favorites of this category, actually.
Okay.
So, scores for Russia.
I gave her a 72.
I'm going to give her an 84. I like it. And I love this end wig. This like in the blonde into the like orange and red ombre. I think that's gorgeous on her. So next up is Moy.
Yeah. So Moy, this is an interesting one because I think she looks pretty good. But I think that the actual outfit itself is very, very basic. It took me a while to realize those are not her real hands here. Her actual hands are in the wings, and the wings are the absolute star of this look for me. And that was ingenious to have your arms in there so you can actually give them this fluid movement. So I thought that was a really cool aspect. She's almost got Courtney Cox bangs going on there. They just need to be a little shorter. But I do like her face looks pretty animated to me. I think she did one of the better jobs of actually giving anime face for me. So not bad.
I absolutely agree with that. I think it's just fine. I think for me, she had the best anime make transformation. If you showed me this without the name attached, I would not be able to tell you that that was Moy. And I think that's incredibly impressive. I think the wings are nice, but I do agree with what I believe it was Elodia was saying, where you could see her arms underneath it.
Mm.
And so it's just it's always like with Moy, a lot of her looks are very good and very high concept. And I'm just missing a bit of that polished edge that I want to see that we get from people like Russia Fox, like Deja. I just want a little bit more of that from her. I think the coat is cute, and I think the bodysuit is cute. So overall, I'm not like disappointed with this look. I think it could have been executed a little bit stronger.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to say one more thing to the fact that you said that you didn't recognize this as Moy at first.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually been an ongoing thing for me. Almost every time she comes out, I have to wait and see the name to go with it because she just has not been a recognizable figure for me. Everybody else, when I see them, I recognize them.
Yeah.
And Moy, I'm just not recognizing her. And I think that's kind of a bad thing for me. Like, sure, that could speak to versatility, but
And I was gonna say, I like that we're seeing a bit of versatility, but
I still want to be able to see her and be like, that's Moy, and I'm not getting that, and I think it's making her fade a little bit for me.
I agree with you. I'm I'm trying to figure out who is Moy as a drag persona. I'm getting a lot of really nice concept from her and some pretty polished look. Who's Moy?
Right.
And even honestly, in the group out of drag, half the time I'm like, who's Moy again? And it's unfortunate because I do think what she's brought so far has been really good, but she's not standing out. I agree with that for sure. Scores for Moy.
77.
I will give it a 73.
Okay.
Now, when I tell you this is the only full shot I could get of Jean Vilogue, it's the only full shot I could get of Jean Vilogue in this okay look.
Okay, well, here's going to be my hot take. This was actually my favorite look. I definitely got anime from it. I got branding, especially with her name there. I thought it was very cute. Her whole presentation of it, I thought was very strong too. It was only in hindsight I realized, oh, you were supposed to have a transformation. You literally did not have a transformation at all.
You were supposed to have a transformation, and you were supposed to be an anime character.
I get anime character from this.
Okay.
I don't know. It like the wig and even like the style of the ruffles, that gives me anime character for sure. So I do like the look itself a lot. But yeah, in hindsight, I did have to deduct some points just knowing you didn't really fulfill the whole task. So
I think if I'm gonna think about this look outside of the Themewear category that we're looking at, I actually think it's a really good look. Again, I don't know if she was trying to reference a specific character, and if she was, I'm not really getting it because I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. I think the branding is really cute here. I think that it's not bad by any means of the imagination. I don't find this to be all that inspired. And because there's not a transformation, and that's part of what the Themewear category is asking for, I just don't think it fits the category. But I do think it is a very nice. I think this is probably my favorite thing she's worn. No, that's a lie. The horoscope is my favorite thing she's worn. By far, this is a nice second to that for me, and that will be from her whole package. So, scores for Jean Vilogue.
I gave her an 82.
I will give her an 80.
Okay.
I think it's pretty well done.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Mrs. Tan.
Mm-hmm. This might be another hot take for me because I think, well, first of all, let me say, I think this was the best concept. I really like this concept. I just was disappointed with the execution. Like the arms, I've seen those done way better than this. And she's been consistent this season. So I was just like a little underwhelmed. I'm like, you can do better than this. I know she can do better than this because they kind of look like Muppet arms to me, if I'm being honest. Like they do not give me the fantasy. They don't give me the illusion. I'm not buying into it. And even the look itself is pretty simple. So I was slightly disappointed. I just wish the execution matched the cool concept. It still was probably one of the stronger ones of the night, but not her best. She has better to come this episode.
Yes. I think this is I think I like this more than you do. I do agree. I think I've seen this arm thing done a little bit better, but I don't mind it here. I think I like you said, the concept I think is the absolute strongest. I like the pants. I like everything that's happening. I like seeing a more, and I mean this in the most loving way possible because I really love Mrs. Tan. It's nice to see a little bit more of a human version of Mrs. Tan because she's been very concept. She's been very creature leaning in what she's presented so far for the most part, that I'm happy to see something a little bit more human. I'm not going to say normal because there is no normal when it comes to drag, but I would say human. I like seeing this. I think this is an interesting concept choice for Mrs. Tan. So, scores.
77.
I'm going to give this an 82. And Deja.
Man. Okay. Yeah, she came out and the first look, I was like, okay, well, who cares?
She's a man, Maury.
But when she did that reveal, I was like, oh, okay, I really like the second look. I really like the second look.
I wish they hadn't had Naya already as the agent on duty, and I wish Naya was here. I wish Naya was here. They even say it backstage. They were like, Naya, this is how you do a basketball look. And I was like, purr, you get her.
Yeah. It looks so good. And her face is stunning in this too. But with all of that said, as much as I liked what it transformed into, this might be the one I got the least anime from. If it's referencing a specific character, I don't know that character.
I think it is. I think it is.
But I want them to make me know that character, and I didn't. I just got like a stunning Deja look out of it. So overall, I do like it. It's I like it a lot, but it just didn't feel like it belonged in this category for me.
I understand that for sure. I still think this is probably the strongest look of the category for me. Because I think both looks are very, very successfully done. I think the transition from looks is very successfully done. I really enjoy this. I think the man look, when she's knocking on the door, I'm like, I don't know what this is a reference to, but I'm kind of living for it. Yeah, I thought overall this is really strong from Deja, and I like it. So, scores.
I gave it a 76.
I'm gonna give this an 86.
Okay.
So we go from here. We get our little critique moment, and then we go backstage. And this is where what you brought up at the start of the episode. I was like, Jerome. Reminds me of the Lizzo song, Jerome, which is one of my favorite Lizzo songs. So we're getting ready for main drag. We have Megan and Elodia come back. And I thought they were very like, oh, cool, what are you doing? Like, it felt very like, not basic, but I don't know. It felt a little like, oh yeah, they're here. And they're just happy to be here.
It was very casual.
Very. And then when they're doing their like individual interview and Megan's like, well, what do you think they really need to do for this? Do you think they need to do this? Do they need to do this? Or do they need to do this? And Elodia's like, well, they need to do all of that. Everything you just mentioned. And I'm like, let the girl answer. Like, hello?
Look, she's taking her job as the
honorary drag.
I get all of the time.
No, dealer. She's taking. I'm trying to call everybody the enforcer this episode. I guess. And the enforcer is the one getting shut down in the conversation.
Right. There we go.
The enforcer is the guest judge. The dealer is Nicole. And the agent is the person from season 1.
And what's
because they're the drag dealer. No. Drag. I don't know.
And what's
runner?
Manila?
The drag runner. The drag runner.
What's Manila?
The host.
Okay.
Yeah, Manila's just the host. She runs the drag den.
She's the drag runner?
Yes, Sassy Girl is the drag runner.
Well, you just said Manila runs it. She's the drag runner.
No, but Sassy Girl's title is literally drag runner.
So Sassa's the host?
Fuck you, David Healy. Shut up. David Healy, can you please shut the fuck up with your no drag knowledge mouth?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I didn't have anything to bring up from this section, if I'm being honest with you.
No, the only thing is, like, we do hear a few different people like talking about like being bullied, and I'm like, that's so sad. Like they were bullied for being a little bit feminine, and at one point, one of them was talking about their bullies, and then it cut to like pictures. I'm like, ooh, they're showing pictures of the bully, but then I realized, oh, it was pictures of them like when they were in school. But I was like, ooh, show their face, show their face,
show their face,
them.
Say their name.
We got the name, we got the Rome.
Exactly. Yeah, this part was whatever for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just go, oh no, absolutely not. What is this?
Are we in Drag Race Italia?
Yes. I think so. Ooh, I hit the wrong button there.
Mm-hmm.
But we are here. It is our main drag challenge. The Alien Popper Stars?
Everybody said, I'm not changing, except for Manila.
No, they're all different. Fun fact.
Oh, really?
They are all different looks.
Well, then is this the look that I really liked?
Maybe.
Because it looks the same to me.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to that original one, but just like embrace this one for a second.
It's in my brain.
Because Odasha's in this purple, and Elodia's in this silver, and then Megan is in the gold. Okay, we're embracing this look. Yeah. We know this look. It's not the same look, but it's kind of the same. Actually, it might be the same look for Megan and Elodia.
I think it is. I think
Odasha changed. The drag queens changed. So great. That's why Megan and Elodia went back to do all the stuff in the backstage, so that way Manila and Odasha could go change. That's what it is. Well, I think Odasha looks phenomenal in this purple. This Manila look is good. Yeah,
so I didn't get a good look of it when she was standing up. So I saw her sitting down and it was close up and I'm like, okay, it's bejeweled. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like alien. And then now, like when I actually looked on the Instagram and I saw it and I was like, oh, it's one of those tree frogs. And I like it so much more now that I see what it is. Yeah, I think it's super cute.
Definitely. It's a very good one. It's a very good one. So, Aliens on planet XXX. That is our Themewear challenge, or our main drag challenge. And then they also had to perform with contemporary dance.
Oh.
That was apparently part of the brief.
Okay. I was confused though. I missed that part, but I'm like, this feels very much like just a theme challenge, a Themewear challenge.
I think the point was it was supposed to be like a dancerly sort of alien present. I was very confused.
That kind of makes sense with a few of the weird deliveries we got.
Yes.
But also, like, a key point of it was that it was supposed to light up under the black
neon.
lights.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, there's supposed to be a neon element. So it's neon, alien, contemporary dance, eleganza, extravaganza. I don't know. I was so thoroughly confused by this. I was like, what? Like, why are we making them jump through a hoop and then dive through a ring of fire and then shade Odasha and also present your main drag look? I was so confused by this. I didn't get it. I'm like, why all the things?
Yeah,
but okay.
Spoiler, a couple of the looks we get in this are two of my least favorite looks of the whole season.
And none of the photos of these looks are good.
Oh.
Because they're performing in fucking darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So, y'all watch the episode. You know what it is. But first up is Margaux.
Speaking of some of my favorite or least favorite looks of the season.
Oh, wow.
I don't like this. It's a simple green bodysuit. Sure, she's got some of the like blue things coming around it, but that was not enough to save it for me. I don't know. It just felt extremely costumey. And there's a way that you can do these kind of looks without it being costumey. And a few people in this episode, for me, there was a clear top 3 looks. And this was not one of them. I was very disappointed by this. Yeah.
I think what is very interesting about this is I do agree with you. I think this is one of the more basic looks that was presented on this main drag showcase. However, I think this is one of the better performances we saw. Because I really got the story of it. Like, the shoes. Oh, the shoes. Oh, she's like conforming to modern society. And then when she takes her shoes off, that's when she really becomes the alien again. And I got that story and I really liked it from her. And I thought her movement was very fluid. I thought, you know, what she was doing with interacting with the judges, I thought was really nice. But the look is incredibly basic. I think it's a very well executed basic look, but it's very basic. So, scores.
Yeah, we might have a big gap here. I gave this a 46.
I'm gonna give this a 70 because I do still think while boring, it is well executed, and I think the performance was brought it up a little bit for me. So, next up, Russia Fox.
Okay. Now this is the complete opposite end of the spectrum for me.
I know.
Because this is the Russia I know. This is the Russia that I come to appreciate. What kind of confused me is that before we saw any of the looks, we had somebody asking Mrs. Tan about her look, right? And she said, I'm going to be a xenomorph. And they're like, okay, what is that? She's like, I don't know. I Googled it. But this is xenomorph.
But Russia Fox is literally a xenomorph.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't get xenomorph from Mrs. Tan look, but this is 100% xenomorph. But I think what she did here that I really appreciate, she could have gone full cosplay here, but she really took this and like made it a nice blend of cosplay and drag. like, because we still saw her face, we still saw it was pretty, the makeup matched the look, and then she had these like 2 braids. Like the xenomorphs already have like the what are they called? Little tendrils? Tentacles. I know words.
I would hope so, darling.
But yeah, they already have the tentacles, but she's like, okay, well, they're also going to have a braid tentacle on either side. So I thought that was a super cute touch. I think this was my favorite look of the second category.
I like it. I think it's really well executed. I agree with you. This is the level of execution we expect from Russia Fox. Though I will still say I did like seeing a little bit more of a understated look in her Themewear. So, but this is just so spectacularly done. It's alien, it's xenomorph, it's neon. Here's the one thing I will say. I think the presentation of it was a little timid. I wanted a bit more character from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I got that full character in the way that I think a lot of other people on this category did character. I think about someone like Margaux. I think about someone like, we'll obviously talk about Mrs. Tan later. So that kind of took me out of it a little bit, but the look alone I think is absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So, scores.
I gave it a 92.
I'm going to give it a 90. Next up, Feyvah Fatale.
Feyvah Fatale. I think she looks so pretty here. It was a very, very pretty look. I didn't get alien from it.
Not at all.
I got more space girl, like she could be one of the human characters in like a Star Wars show or something. I don't know. It was very unfortunate that her wig got tangled up though. That was kind of distracting. And when the judge later on, they're like, her hair got caught on her other hair. I just thought that was so
her
funny.
Hair got caught on her other hair. I died.
Me too. It was so accurate though, but
very incredibly accurate.
But it got tangled up because she was really putting in a lot into her performance. She was shaking all around. I think she was making up for the fact that she knew I'm not really an alien here. So yeah, overall, I was a little bit disappointed with this, but I liked the delivery.
I am going to start with the positives, which I do agree is the delivery. I think she was doing a lot. I thought her performance of this was very, very good to make up for the fact that this is not neon, nor is this alien. I think what could have sold it is if her makeup was full on alien prosthetic, sort of like, not necessarily gruesome alien, but like very, very definable alien. I think if you have that alien face with then all of this pop princess going on around it, I think that sells it. I like what she's done with the makeup here. I just don't think it was enough to elevate the look to alien, nor is it really neon, unfortunately. It's more holographic. And if this was a holographic runway, she'd do very well. But that's not what the category is calling for. The category is calling for neon. So this is not my least favorite look of the night. I will say this is my second least favorite look of the night. Just because
she's so pretty.
Okay, yes, but again, you have to remember that there are categories in place for a reason. And for this category, is she alien? No. Is she neon? No.
Is she pretty?
But what is the category, David?
Pretty?
You just want to fuck her. That's the problem.
Maybe.
And that's fine. That's fine if you want to. But I mean, she's a very lovely looking individual. The category here is not pretty. The category is neon, alien, contemporary dance, realness, apparently. I don't know. Now give me your score so I can be frustrated with your score because you're going to overscore this.
The 70.
I hate you so much. It's a 40. I'm sorry, Feyvah. I like Feyvah. I really do. And that 40 is for the performance alone. Because otherwise it doesn't fit the category. But I love her. And I'm very glad she didn't go home. I'm very, very happy she didn't go home. But next up is Moy.
Yeah. Moy. Another look that's just completely different for her. But you definitely get neon here. I think kind of my problem here was that when she took the arm pieces off, she's just in a neon fishnet, right?
Yeah.
So I wish she had kept that on or somehow made it more like integral to the outfit, because if you're able to take it off so easily, that just kind of like let me down a little bit. But yeah, I thought overall she still looked pretty good and she mostly fit the theme here. Yeah, I just keep it on, girl, keep it on.
Yeah, I think the entire first part of this performance for Moy was very good. I was like, oh, she's under the darkness. It's all neon. I love whatever this cage is, whatever's happening with this. I really, really enjoy. And then she takes it off and she looks like Yoda's daughter had to become a stripper to pay rent. Like, that's really what it is. And I mean no disrespect by that. It's just that's the reality of the situation we're living in. But the cage is so cool. This is one of my least favorite looks of the night, unfortunately, though, because if she had sold this as alien hooker, I would have been fine with it. But for me, she didn't sell it as alien hooker. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But the performance, I think, was good for what it was. But definitely warranted a bottom 3 placement for me on this evening.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, scores.
I still give it a 72.
I'm going to give it a 60.
I'm the nice one this episode.
I told you my scores were going to be remarkably lower. Mm-hmm. And oh boy, are they going to get lower, because next up is Jean Vilogue in something.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what the fuck this was.
I can tell you what this was. This was the worst look of the season.
This is the worst look I think I've ever seen on a drag program, period.
Oh, really?
Okay. Probably.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Jiggly's Baked Potato Couture, you're safe. Alyssa's shredded gown, you're safe. Mm-hmm. Naia's basketball look, you're safe.
Yeah. Hey, I kind of like that basketball look.
Oh, I hated the basketball look. I hated the basketball look. I hated it, but
yeah. But no, this just looked really messy. It looked sloppy. Like I take notes and I wrote sloppy and D. I could not finish my thought because I was like, I don't even know what the D was going to be. Sloppy and doesn't look good. Sloppy and dirty. Sloppy and dingy. Sloppy and disappointing.
Sloppy and how dare you wear this on the main stage of Drag Den.
Right. Yeah, this was definitely like, sure, I liked her first look. This one completely made it that she deserved to go home.
I'm ready for scores.
Okay, I'm going to give her, just because there were parts of her makeup that interest me, a 22.
This is the biggest plead I've ever given in my entire career as a podcaster. I could not plead this harder. This is... No. Actually, no. I'm not even going to plead this. My score is no.
It's a new scoring system.
No. No. Next up, someone I'm excited to talk about, and that's Deja.
Yes. One of the other clear top threes of the night for me, based on this category.
It was Russia, it was Deja, and it was Mrs. Tan.
Spoiler.
By far. Like, yes. If that is not 1, 2, 3 when we get the rank queens next week, I'm going to be very confused.
I mean, I get confused sometimes watching the rankings, so you never know. What I will say is, like, this was not the best at lighting up under the black lights. Yeah, sure, the wig does, the makeup does to a degree, but the actual, like, costume does not. With that said, I really like this costume. I thought it was actually kind of a breath of fresh air, having something that wasn't just straight up like green neon. Like, I really like this pink color palette that she has going on. No, she was not the only pink one, but yeah, the wig is also really, really cool. Even like the touch of her nails just glowing there, I really like that. So yeah, this was clearly in my top 3. I would probably put this 3rd overall, but I still really liked it.
I would agree 100%. I think for me, she was 3rd. I think given Themewear and the main drag showcase, I think for me, she would be very, very solidly 3rd. And I'm happy to see Deja back, you know, hopefully potentially in a top 3 situation, because she's been very middle for the last couple of episodes after her win. So I'm very excited to see Deja kind of back to form, I would say. Not that she's been doing bad by any means, but I'm excited to see, you know, polished and a little bit more elevated Deja. Is this a bodysuit? Yes. Do I think this is a very, very well executed bodysuit for this category? Absolutely. Because I think for me, the way she's styled this almost makes the bodysuit look like skin.
Right. It has dimensions, unlike somebody else's bodysuit that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, unlike Margaux's, where Margaux at least looked like she was wearing a bodysuit. This looks like, it could be like your skin could be pink, and you've got all these black detailings on it. Like, I do wish there was a bit more detailing. I think there's a couple of things that she could have added to make it a little bit stronger. But I think overall, this is a very, very solid look from Deja. So, scars.
I gave her an 88.
I'm going to give her a 91.
Okay.
What did I give Russia?
You gave her a 90.
Okay, well, then I'm giving Deja an 89 because I did like Russia more.
Okay.
Yeah, 89. 89 for Deja. And last up, Mrs. Tan.
Yeah. First of all, I will say Mrs. Tan 100% deserved her win this episode. Like, it's been a long time coming, so I'm glad she finally got it. And she, yes. Yeah, I thought she got the assignment, probably the best of anybody. She really was able to glow. Like, when she was in the background with just the black lights over her, I thought it looked so cool. And she really gave a very, very strong performance. With that said, when she did come into the light, I did not like the look as much. I think this is something that really, really, really worked in that background. So I wish it had kind of stayed that way more. But she still looks really good. I don't get xenomorph. I don't know why she thought that, but I do get incredible creature that fits the theme very well.
I think this is one of the absolute coolest presentations of a drag look I've ever seen. As I said, I'm becoming a lot more of a Russia Fox stan. I'm also becoming a really big Mrs. Tan stan. And the fact that both of them cannot win this season for me is honestly devastating. Because it means one of them at least is going to be robbed. And I think that's a tragedy.
I thought you were saying neither of them could win this season. I'm like, wait, what do I not know?
No, at least one of them doesn't win this season. And that's a tragedy in itself, because I think both of them are providing very, very good drag. The way she embodies character, period, is something that you can't teach. You can try to, but it's not going to give that level of success that she's giving here. Just the way she pulled in this character as if she was this alien exploring a new world. And I loved how she related that to her drag den journey. I thought that was so cool to hear from her. I just think this is so cool. I think I tend to agree with you as far as in the darkness. I think this stood out a little bit more. I think I like it more than you do when it comes out of the light. This is where I think this is obviously a bodysuit, but it looks like it's skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like all the detailing that's happening. I like that the neon is an accessory to the look, but still so integral to the look. And I think this is spectacular. Truly. So, scores for Mrs. Tan.
It's a 91 for me.
I'm going to give this a 96.
Nice. Great.
No, it's great. Thank you. I was like, we just talked about this the other day, David.
We did.
Okay. Do you want to talk drama first, or do you want to talk Dragdagulan first?
Let's talk Dragdagulan first, because that kind of feeds into the drama, I think.
Yes. So we got our critique. Cool. We got our pull for the
Dragdagulan. Yep, it scared me that time.
I'm so sorry. It's gonna happen a few more times. Just be warned right now. But for this week in the contestants competing in are Margaux, Mrs. Tan, and Jean Vilogue. Which I will say, if Margaux is top 3 next week, then it still feeds into my theory. And I know y'all talked about my theory while I wasn't here.
We did.
But it still would feed in. That's why I'm kind of thinking Margaux might have been 3rd, because they did really like her performance in the main drag. And obviously this was the winner and the person that went home. But we have Margaux, Mrs. Tan, and Jean Vilogue lip-syncing to Triangulo by Thyro Alfaro, Yumi Laksamana, and Jarek Medina.
Mm-hmm. I also want to point out that this feeds into my theory that they are not replacing names until they have to. So we saw 3 people the first week, 3 different people the third week or the second week, then 3 different people the third week, leaving only one person who had not competed, and that was
Jean.
Jean.
She was the first person that was pulled.
It was Jean.
Yeah.
So I think
your theory is right.
Yeah, I think it has started over. So I don't think we're going to see Margaux or Mrs. Tan compete next week. But for me, this was very interesting because this was our first not slower song that we've seen this season. And I actually thought it was very good. And I had a very clear ranking of the 3, and I'm very curious if ours match.
Okay. I will go ahead and say, before we talk about what our rankings are, I think this was my favorite of the Dragdagulans so far.
It could be there for me too.
I think this was the most even.
I could see that.
In that I feel like up until a point, like towards the end, I was like, I could see any of the 3 of them winning, genuinely. Because I thought all 3 of them were giving a very solid performance. It felt like they were performing together, despite clearly not performing together.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, who was your least favorite in this?
So my least favorite, the person that stood out the least, was Margaux.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So then, who would have been your winner?
My winner, pretty clearly for me, I thought both of them did really well, but for me, there was no doubt that the winner was and was going to be Jean Vilogue.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I think Jean should have won.
She should have.
And if she had, I wouldn't have been mad in the slightest. Mm-hmm. I think, unfortunately for Jean, there was just no way that they could keep her moving forward. I just don't think, I think the other 6 people in the competition have a level of drag that is just higher than hers at this moment. But to that, I thought Jean had one of the best individual Dragdagulan performances we've seen this season, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I was like, she is giving raw emotion. And I was entranced. Every time she was on my screen, I was like, I'm focusing on Jean? Like, Jean is doing the best? Yep. Genuinely, I was like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm. That's what you call a good park and bark. She just stood there and just gave all the emotion. And I was like, wow.
And she took her time because Margaux and Mrs. Tan came down to the front immediately. She took her moment in the back by herself where they could still see she was the only one in the back. She took her little moment. Then she came down and she just stood in that one spot. And this is where I'm like, I see it for Jean. I see your drag finally. And I'd been waiting for her to perform so I could see it. And I got it. And I think I see Jean a little bit differently now after this performance because I'm like, she's incredible as a performer.
Yeah.
She just needs to bring her aesthetic up.
I would throw some dollars at her for sure.
I'd probably throw a 10 at her. Let's be honest. Like, I was really impressed. And those are the kinds of lip syncs that really impress me. And I'm happy that we finally got not really a ballad, but a slower song.
Right. And Mrs. Tan did really well, too.
Mrs. Tan did so well. Like, that was the thing. I was like, oh, Mrs. Tan is doing so well, but I can't stop looking at Jean. I can't stop looking at what Jean's doing and the emoting that Jean is doing. She's clearly an actress. But, yeah, I thought this was... Margaux, I don't think did bad by any means. I couldn't tell you anything Margaux did. Honestly, I could. And that's kind of now 2 Dragdagulans for her in a row. I'm not really getting what she's bringing. So. Yeah,
I think she's got an expiration date, to be honest.
I think she's the next to go.
Yep.
I think once now that Jean, like, as the weakest link, I think is over. I think otherwise, I see Deja, Feyvah, Moy, Mrs. Tan, and Russia at just a different level.
True, I agree.
That's
for sure.
That's just how I feel honestly about it. But yeah, so we get the Dragdagulan. Mrs. Tan does win later on, and we'll talk about what that ends up meaning.
Yep. I wore this shirt for a reason.
I understand, because I think she's incredible, but I do still think Jean deserved to win that lip sync. So let's talk about the moment of the episode, really, where we come backstage from the Dragdagulan, and Jean kind of has this energy shift. And I noticed it before Margaux said it 14 different times in different iterations. And I noticed, I was like, oh, I think she knows she's going. And I get that. And we see that all the time. What interested me then is we get Margaux trying to and this whole debacle is just between Margaux, Jean, and Mrs. Tan. There is no one else. And honestly, actually, also, Sasa Girl. And I'll talk about Sasa here in a second. Because I was confused and bewildered by what Sasa was doing during this fight. So Margaux is just, laying into Jean. Just well, why do you have this energy shift? I don't get why you're like this when the cameras are on, and you're like this when the cameras are off, and now in this moment you're giving a completely different emotion. What are you doing? And I'm like, is she not allowed to express different emotions? Right. I was like, okay, she knows she's going home, Margaux. This is the first time where she's like, no, I really do feel like I'm going home. And she even says it with Sassy Girl. She's like, I don't think I performed in either one of the categories very well. I'm pretty sure I know I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
And Margaux won't let it die.
Yeah, there was even a point where like she asks her why. She's like, she says, I have emotions or something like, and Margaux's like, we all do. And I'm like, she didn't say you all didn't. She just does.
Literally, she was, and then she even says, I'm not trying to invalidate anyone else's opinions. And in this moment, I'm like, okay, Margaux feels insecure because she didn't perform as well as she wanted to this week. Plus, she knows she didn't perform all that well in the Dragdagulan. So it's very, for me, it's very what we're seeing right now on Drag Race with Plain Jane, where Margaux as a character is trying to be this bitchy character, and in being insecure in her own performances, she's pulling down the person who is the obvious weakest link.
Right.
And in this case for Margaux, it's Jean. And that's kind of how it's been with everybody, really. Margaux, I would say, Margaux and Elvira, I feel like were the two that were kind of laying into Jean the most over these 4 episodes.
We did see Russia really give it to her one episode,
We saw Russia do it. And in that moment, I thought it was kind of valid. But so Margaux keeps going on and on and on. And then almost out of nowhere, Mrs. Tan jumps into this and starts talking about Jean's behavior behind the scenes and talking about Jean, like, because they're talking about like Jean's personality on camera versus off camera and how it's different. Again, hi, we don't know that. Thanks for informing us. We appreciate
You said you were in the bottom because you had Maria's
look on. That's why Mrs. Tan jumps into this. Because she's like, well, you said backstage that you were in because of Maria. How dare you? Like, if you had borrowed one of my looks, do you think you would be in the bottom? No, Mrs. Tan, because you brought good drag to the competition. No shade to Maria. Like, no shade to Maria, but
we did like that look on Maria.
We love the look on Maria, but not on Jean Vilogue. Nope. Jean was in the bottom because it didn't fucking fit. That's tea. So Mrs. Tan is now going in, and it's just like, how dare you? Like, this, that, and the third. And then Margaux pops in and is like, no, Mrs. Tan, control yourself. Like, it's gone on enough.
Well, first she does this thing. It seems like they've all like somehow figured out that Mrs. Tan is going to win the Dragdagulan and has the ability to give the immunity away. And
oh my god!
And Jean makes a plea. She humbles herself and makes a plea. She's like, "Would you consider using it on me?" And
She's like, "This is what I have to bring. I want to show more of what I brought. This."
And she says, I'm going to use it on somebody that I don't think deserves to go, but I'm not going to use it on you. And then Margaux pops up. Okay, if it's between me and
or no, if it's Jean versus Moy, who are you going to use it on?
Moy.
If it's Jean versus Feyvah, who are you going to use it on?
Feyvah.
If it's Jean versus me, who are you going to use it on? Margaux. And so it's just like, God.
That was my least favorite part. I'm like, okay, your point Margaux, has been made.
It's very plain Jane. It's very, you're insecure with how you did and you're nervous about it. So you're going to pull down the person who is like the low-hanging fruit in this scenario. And in up until this moment, I felt bad for Jean Vilogue.
Me too.
I felt very bad for Jean up until this moment. She then walks off. She's like, I quit. I'm done. Whatever. And Sassy goes to console her. And she's crying. She's like, Jean is like, well, they get upset at me if I don't reply. And then they call me a bitch if I do. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And through this moment, I was like, I feel bad for Jean Vilogue. Then we see this moment where Mrs. Tan clearly recognizes what she's done, pulls Moy to the side, which we do see. We don't hear
Jean.
The audio. We don't hear either of them.
You mean pulls Jean to the side, right?
That is exactly what I meant. Yes. I don't know what I said.
You said Moy.
Yeah, Jean. Why am I bringing Moy into this?
I
don't know.
That's a random one to name.
I know. I'm like, Moy's been invisible in the edit. Oop. Oop. But Mrs. Tan pulls Jean aside and is like resolving the argument that they just had.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't hear what they're saying, but what we hear in confessional is Mrs. Tan saying, oh, well, what she said to me is, oh, don't worry, I was acting. And even Jean kind of, without saying it, alludes to like, well, yeah, I'm playing it up for the camera. Basically, like, I know I'm going home. I'm trying to stir up a little bit of drama and like get my last little bit of airtime before I go. To which then they go back. And I guess Mrs. Tan has now told the group or just Margaux. I'm not sure. And so Margaux just back on it.
Were you acting?
Were you acting?
No.
But were you acting though? And Jean's like, no. And my favorite part of this, I don't love this as far as like the fight is concerned, because I don't think any of them look good here. I love Mrs. Tan looking at Margaux and mouthing, she said she's acting. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? So Margaux keeps going, are you acting though? And like a little bit of the conversation will go on, and then Margot's like, but really, Jean, I just need to know, were you acting? Like, Jean, fucking drop it!
Yes.
What is happening? Like,
for
Jesus.
me, if she was acting, I kind of respect it. Personally, I mean, because like if she was acting, like she did not start any of that. Like it seemed like she was just being piled on. So if she sees the moment to do what she take it and shift the narrative to what she wanted it to be, then hey, props to her. Yeah, I thought it was entertaining for sure.
You know, I think in this scenario, what I'm more frustrated about is if she was acting, I'm most frustrated for Sasa Girl having to go console her. Because then when the whole acting accusation comes up, Sasa like switches out of being a part of the production of this show and becomes like a real person again and is like, okay, but who's lying here? Like Sasa puts herself into it and she gets mad because she's like, okay, who's lying now? Are you lying? Are you acting? Are you lying? Is Mrs. Tan lying? Like, what is happening? I'm like, oh, we're seeing real Sasa Girl being like, okay, I don't like my feelings disrespected like this. And I get that. For me, I think it's just cheap to kind of like do this acting thing and stirring things up at the last minute before you go. I understand what you're saying for sure. And like, I get it. And if I was on TV, I'd probably end up doing the same thing. Let's just be honest here. But I just found it a little bit cheap. I'm like, you've already had a lot of screen time. Mind you, they don't know that at this point. But I'm just like, I don't like, as someone who feels their emotions very, very closely, I don't like when people fake those kinds of emotions. And that's just a personal thing for me.
We do have to remember, she did at one point in the confessional say, yeah, my emotions were real. So it is possible that maybe she wasn't really acting and she was trying to save face because she was embarrassed about what she had just done. So
potentially,
it's
I don't
possible.
know. I don't know. I'm confused by the whole ordeal, but regardless,
benefit of the doubt to everybody involved.
Sure, we'll go with sure. That's fine. Totally. Whatever. Cool. So we go back to the main stage to get our result. And obviously we have our Dragdagulan winner, Mrs. Tan. And we find out that Mrs. Tan, obviously, like she said backstage, decides she is going to give her immunity away to someone else. And I love this moment from Manila because she's like, that's very admirable of you, Mrs. Tan, because you didn't need it. You're the top scoring person of the week. And I was like, yay! Mrs. Tan! Where's the button? Hold on, I need to play the button.
Deserve.
I think we also need the drag den version of that, which is just deserve. So, David, if you can get on that, that'd be great.
Yep.
So, but yes, as a Dragdagulan winner, Mrs. Tan decides she is going to give up her immunity, and Manila calls up the bottom three, being Feyvah, Jean, and Moy. So we know that Margaux, Russia, and Deja are safe. As much as I want Deja to be in that top three, I think based on the Dragdagulan thing, I don't know, but I think your theory is also right. Whatever. So we find out that Mrs. Tan is going to save Moy, which I think of the three is the correct option. Okay. I understand that you think he's pretty.
She's also talented. She's done very well. She's won a challenge.
Yes, there's a lot of talent there. However, she had the second worst performance of this week. That's fine. You can do that all you want. Facts are facts, America and Philippines and the world. So
I got nervous. I got
very nervous the way that they edited this. Because I was like, if Feyvah goes home over Jean fucking Vilogue, I'm going to be so frustrated. I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to call up Mr. Luzon myself. Be like, what the fuck is your wife doing? And also all those judges. And actually, if Feyvah had gone home, I would have blamed Odasha. That's who I would have blamed.
Fair.
It would have been that thing. Feyvah Fatale got sent home on Drag Den, so I blocked Odasha. That would have been great. But no, that did not happen. Jean Vilogue is very rightfully finally sent home from this competition. Thank God.
Yep.
Bye, girl.
Bye.
And I forgot to do this at the start of the episode, but David, do we have a draft update through last week's scores?
We do have a draft, and I did put in what I know of this week so far.
Okay.
So we finally lost the undrafted person, and that was Jean.
Wonder why she was undrafted.
Hey, we liked her promo look though, so
one of them.
Yes.
I did. I will say I did like one of her promos and one of her looks on the season.
So currently in third place with only one person left, and that is Moy, Logan. And then it's actually
moi and Moy. That's my team currently.
Yeah, it's actually pretty close between Lana and I, because Lana has two of the highest scoring people in Mrs. Tan and Deja.
Yes.
But she did lose Marlon early on. Yeah. But I have all three of my people still in the competition. Now, Feyvah and Margaux are on my team, and they're two of the lower people. But I do have Russia. But overall, there's a 3-point difference between us.
Okay.
And having more in the competition has helped me out, because I'm leading with 35 points. Lana has 32 points.
Okay. Yep. Love it. I think it's going to be a really close draft up until the end, honestly, between you both. I'm very excited to see it. I'm doing well in other drafts right now on the cup, so I'm not all that worried about not doing well in this one. I think I could be out of the draft as early as next week. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it could happen. I think it could happen. At this point, I see a very clear top three.
Yeah. I think it's got to be Russia, Deja, Mrs. Tan.
And Mrs. Tan. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Unless one of them just has an absolutely abysmal week. And I think the other person that could fill that third spot would be Feyvah at this point. Or if Moy steps up her game, I don't know. Like, I would like to see Moy step up her game. I don't know whether we're going to see that. But
true. It's hard to say. We're halfway through.
We are halfway through. I guess it is just 8 episodes. So Hey, I mean, honestly, as much as I am enjoying this season, I'm going to be happy that there's one less drag program to watch.
That's true.
Even
but
though we're probably going to pick up more drag programs for other things. So, it's fine. Yes, and we don't know I don't think we know what next week's themes are, but we know that the Drag Enforcer is Andrea Brillantes, who I don't know, but I'm excited to find out who she is. And the drag agent on duty next week is Shawarma. Very excited for Shawarma. Yes. So they're really saving. They're going to save Maria Cristina for the last episode, huh?
Oh, probably. And so
I'm surprised it wasn't Naya. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they didn't save Naya until. Because who else was in it was Maria Cristina in the top 3 last season, and who else was it?
Shawarma.
It was Shawarma. So who else?
I know. I'm trying to think. So
Barbie.
There's Maria, Barbie, and then who?
Hold on.
Maria. Sorry to
Lady Gagita.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, Lady Gagita is the other one who has not been a drag agent on duty. So yeah.
I hope they all show up.
It seems like with 8 episodes, it seems like they're all going to show up. Because we've had one every episode so far. So it seems like that's probably what's going to happen. And I'm not mad.
We shall see.
So, we shall see. So, with that being said, thank you for joining us for episode 4 of our Drag Den recap. Let us know, what did you think about the episode? Did you agree with the win? Did you agree with Jean Vilogue finally being sent home? And what did you think of the... Dragdagulan! Let us know all of that in the comments below. And y'all always do so good for us, and we greatly appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already. We've got a lot more content on the way, including a lot more Filipino drag content as we are dropping reviews of Drag Race Philippines Season 1 in our Lana React series. So if you want to see Lana react to Drag Race Philippines, it's coming very, very soon with exclusive content available on our membership channel. So make sure to go check that out as well. You could go subscribe to both of our other channels if you so choose. It greatly helps us out and we appreciate it. Make sure to follow our socials at The Cup Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for some funny moments, some up-to-date news, all those kinds of things. All that information will also be in our community tab for all of the up-to-date things that you need to know about what we're doing. You could also go follow David and I down below. And you could go get your merch, including but not limited to cup mug, down there as well. And with all that being said, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to everybody except Jerome.
Fuck you, Jerome.
Yes. You suck.
Jerome.
Dragdagulan!
And I don't thank you, Jerome.
And I thank you for sending Jean Vilogue home.